Courage in Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game. Courage, something not all people have. Courage, something that is very important in a society like ours. Courage, something humanity would crumble without. Courage is a very prominent character trait throughout Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, with nearly every character showing courage or something mocking it. This may cause differing opinions about who could possibly be the most courageous character, since there are, in fact, plenty of occasions where some characters show that they could have the most courage. But courage is more than doing something that he or she is afraid of. Courage is doing something that a person is afraid of for the greater good, which isn't something every character does. Ender unintentionally saves the world. Peter helps with that. Dink attempts to stop Ender's fights. Even Graf tries to help Ender in ways that make him feel guilty. But even so, in the science fiction classic Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, Valentine Wiggin is the most courageous character due to her actions and reactions to certain events. Now, to some people, Valentine's actions may seem anything but courageous, since she is often manipulative throughout the story. But she does this for the greater good, such as when she convinces Ender to continue his commander education through emotional manipulation so he could continue to go on and save the world. No, you don't understand. I destroy them. I make it impossible for them to ever hurt me again. I grind them until they don't exist. Card 238. Here is where Valentine shows her truly manipulative side. She seems as if she is trying to tell Ender that if he wants to destroy the buggers, he needs to love them, which seems as if it's a very unhealthy way to go about things, but it works. This is a sign of courage because Valentine does not want to manipulate her brother. She still loves Ender even if he feels differently about her, but she does it anyway because it's what's right. The fact that she is willing to go against her own wishes and beliefs for the greater good is a truly courageous thing to do, and something that makes people such as Valentine powerful in society. Slightly later, Valentine states, "If you try and lose, then it isn't your fault. But if you don't try and we lose, then it's all your fault. You killed us all." Card 241, which seems to be another attempt at getting Ender to continue his studies. It's her convincing him that he is the only person who can save them from the buggers, and if he doesn't try to, they will certainly all die, and it will be his fault. As wrong as this may be to say to a person, it is almost impossible to argue that she is wrong, since it has already been shown how strong Ender is. The reader knows it is up to Valentine to do this, and if she doesn't, the world will surely be doomed. Though it seems that Graf was forcing Valentine to manipulate Ender, he never says how far she needed to go. All he told her was, "This time we can't censor your letter. We're just taking our chances." Card 233. Which says that he is hoping Valentine would convince him, not telling her she has to. Valentine shows obvious love for Ender multiple times throughout the novel, such as when Ender is leaving. He heard Valentine's anguished cry, "Come back to me, I love you forever." Card 26, and seems as if the last thing she wants to do is hurt Ender. This is further proof that Valentine shows great courage, since she is doing something that obviously upsets her in order to do what will certainly save the world. In a way, it is because of her that Ender ends up ultimately killing the buggers. Valentine shows how she is very smart and clever multiple times throughout the novel. This begins during her original introduction, when she attempts to scare Peter so he wouldn't hurt her, even when he is as violent as he gets. It says, "I didn't die a natural death. Peter killed me, and if he hasn't already killed Andrew, he will soon." Card 13. She shows here how she knows that Peter does actually go through with his threats sometimes, and she knows how to stop him. In order to keep herself and Ender, Andrew, safe, she must tell Peter she has a way of convincing him for his murder after her death. This also shows great intelligence since it is a file that would get released when she dies, which is really impressive considering she's only 8 at the time. Finally, Valentine is always very determined to get things done and do them well. During her reintroduction at Chapter 9, she seems very proud of her attention and progress as Demosthenes and states, "Talent rises to the top." Card 136, showing how she is able to write as if she is an adult and knows it. She shows her determination some more when she's trying to convince Ender to continue with his studies. Well, this shows raw courage. It also shows how she is able to do this and will do it if she needs to. The line, "But suppose you do. Suppose you beat the buggers and your name is known the way Mazer Rackham's name is known." Card 240. shows how she is trying multiple ways to convince Ender, which is a quite smart way to go at it things, since Ender has changed since she last knew him, and he obviously changed a lot. Slightly later, when she says, he was years older than you, and stronger, card 241, when referring to Peter, shows how she is putting a bit of empathy into her determined approach. She is determined to go through with her mission, though she doesn't want to, that she is trying multiple approaches, which seems to be in many people's nature since many people love to see their plans go through. Arguments can be made that Peter, Valentine's brother, is the most courageous character. This can be something easily believed, but is not true, since what he shows is not at all courage, instead, violent manipulation. Violence is not courage, no matter how much it can possibly be courageous. While you can be courageous by being violent, Peter shows pure violence and anger, never courage. Now they aren't checking in to see if you feel pain, listening to hear what I'm saying, seeing what I'm doing to you. How about that? How about it? Card 10. This shows how Peter seizes the opportunity to let Ender know that if he has wanted to, he can hurt him. While we may learn later that Peter actually does love Ender, Ender, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I know how it feels. I'm sorry. I'm your brother. I love you. Card 15. Peter's threats don't help Ender in any way, so they have no hint of courage. Peter is doing nothing for the greater good, but rather to make himself feel better and more powerful than Ender. Overall, Valentine is the most courageous character in Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game for a variety of reasons. She manipulates people against her own will for the greater good, shows cleverness and a genius brain at a young age, and is determined to get things done and done well. She is not unhelpfully violent and shows that she can convince herself to do things that may seem wrong to many people, but in all, help for the greater good.